We're going to let this thing filter on in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 40. Goodness, what are we? 46 of Six Figure Live. I'm going to get you guys loaded up here so I can see the comments. Today is Q&A. No, today's not Q&A Friday. Today's Critique Wednesday. We're going to be doing some live critique for y'all. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Here's the deal. The way this works, you guys, I'm going to give you guys some time. What's up, you 3 people? Yeah, give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up. Who's out there? Who's watching right now? Say your name. Where are you guys from? Today we're going to be critiquing some work for you guys. Leslie Hartley, Ben Adams. Ben's wasting time. Ben Adams, if you guys don't know, is one of the head photographers here. He's a badass, and he just is, but he's wasting his time right now. Keep editing, buddy. He's like right over there. Hey, babe, Leslie's watching. There's a few more of you guys out there. What are you guys up to today? So here's the deal. We are on episode 46 of Six Figure Live, and the entire purpose of this is to provide value to you guys, just to help show you what goes on behind the scenes. And so we're at the Style and Story Creative Office in Columbus, Ohio. Mondays, Thursdays. By the way, this is Stephen Lowe.
What's up?
Mondays and Thursdays, I just come at you guys live with whatever we're doing in any given moment. Tuesdays is not Q&A. Tuesdays is live editing. I do some live editing like I did yesterday. Wednesdays, we do some critique for community work. You guys get to submit any images, and we'll go ahead and critique it for you guys, try to help you out, help improve your game. And Fridays is Q&A Friday. So take note, you guys, this Friday, Q&A Friday. Be on there. Come with questions. I'd love to answer them. So we got some work from you guys. I really appreciate everyone who's submitting work. I'm seeing a lot of similar faces, or rather similar names, and so I'd love to see some new work as well. So keep submitting, you guys. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. But in the meantime, we're going to hop over to our intro video and then jump right in and start critiquing some stuff. Let's do this thing. No idea. No audio again. Dude, the times when it works with audio and the times it doesn't, I don't even know. Sometimes, I swear, I'm doing nothing differently. Sometimes that intro video has audio, and sometimes it doesn't. You guys, so thanks for hanging out. Chad's in the house right now, and so Chad, come over here real quick. You want to come over here?
It's a hat day.
Where are you at?
Oh,
go right here. Hey guys, this is Chad DeBlasio, and he's another photographer here in Columbus, Ohio. He does some really solid stuff, so you guys should check him out. And he's just hanging out with us today. Chad, you and I are going to be at United this year, and after United, we're going to get together, Chad and I, and we're going to do a little day-long workshop for you guys, really focusing up on business. We're going to do some live pre-consultation stuff for you guys. It'll be good. So anyhow, all right, we got some work to critique.
That's all I get.
That's all you get, man. That's it. Get out of here. All right, you guys, let's jump in. We're going to take some work and talk about it. All right, so we only have a few images here that I really wanted to talk about today. I'm being selective in the work that we actually critique with you guys. I'm wanting to make sure that I feel like I can actually provide value to you, and so I'm not just going to go on and critique some work that I don't feel like I can really do that. And so we got a few images. This one is sent to us by Sheena Penley. I sound like remind me of like LeVar Burton from like Reading Rainbow. Like, this is sent to us from or something. I don't know. Okay, so Sheena sent this over. Let's take a look at the XF data first. ISO 3200, 30 millimeter, 1.4, 1/60th of a second. I pulled this one up because I think a couple Wednesdays ago, we had the question proposed about how we do sparkler exits, and we had an image submitted that was used with flash. And he knew it was bad, actually. He knew it was bad. He messaged me before the critique. He asked me to critique it, understanding that it was rubbish, and he just wanted to get better at it. And I talked about approaching shooting sparkler exits with a natural light setup, which is what Sheena's done here. And so let's talk about this. For starters, 30 millimeter. I guess she was probably on a 24. No, 30 millimeter.
31.4.
31.4. What was she on? I want to know, like, I'm curious what body this was shot with actually. Um, 50D, huh? I'm so interested. Yeah, apparently a 30 millimeter 1.4 exists out there.
Awesome.
Sure thing. So here we go. A couple of things that first stuff I like about it is from an exposure standpoint, it's really great. I talk a lot about no sound at all, Leslie.
I think that was for.
Oh, just earlier. Okay, good. Thank you, La. I was talking about some of the techniques that we use when doing natural light sparkler exits, and I proposed shooting at 1/125th of a second on your shutter speed. She was a little bit faster. F2, she was a little bit wider, with like a 35 or a 50. She was right there. Starting at ISO 1600 and then leveling up your ISO or turning it up until you have a proper exposure. Using the very first sparkler that gets lit as a test subject, running up to that person and testing. And so her formula was a little bit different, but it's working. And she did happen to nail focus at 1.4, and so I'm impressed by it. They're moving. So yeah, I think maybe it's a little green, and so that could be a monitor calibration thing. But I would go ahead and probably give it a little bit magenta. I think some of the green that we're getting there is a little strong. So yeah, I would say give it some magenta. I think that there's a nice energy here. It's still, if I had to be really critical, this is one of those moments that should just be so in the moment that I'm almost turned off by the fact that she's looking at the camera. Like it loses that impact. It feels, well, I guess it just starts to feel like it's being robbed of the immediacy of it, being robbed of the spontaneity of it. With sparklers, you just want that spontaneous feel. Everything should be, I mean, honestly, everything should be kind of soft and crazy and wild. And so yeah, I guess maybe next time don't invite them to look at the camera. Just encourage them to just like to do them. But I love how disheveled he is. Like this gets back to the humanity behind it. This gets back to how real it is with our guy here. I love his unbuttoned shirt, his hair. He's a mess. It's pretty solid. I think compositionally, I am really liking how there's this curve that's going along, how they're in the left side of the frame. I love the crop that's happening here. You still see his hands. You still see the way that she's holding her dress. I'm on board with that. Maybe something that you could do to make this image better from an editing standpoint would be your eyes get drawn to the brightest part of any given scene. And so I could see you, I'll just kind of like do some brush work here. I could see some of the background. Oh, wait. What's happening? I know, but my mouse isn't working. Huh. Close. That was weird. Huh. Close. Interesting. My brush will not seem to work. Okay, maybe now it'll work. Okay, cool. That was so strange. Okay, so I could see maybe some of the highlights getting drawn down a little bit on these borders, and just to kind of draw attention. Again, I'm just roughing it in. I'm not saying it should be this much, or even like on the hands, but maybe just knocking that down a little bit. To help to bring attention back to the client. And then you could do a circular gradient that could maybe pull up even a little bit more and draw attention to the client just a tad bit. So this would be like before and after. So if you notice before, your eye doesn't really go anywhere. After, it starts to focus a little bit more on the couple. And as well, before we have a lot more green, and after maybe we get a little bit more magenta. So yeah, that's some thoughts. Sheena, really appreciate it, girl. Keep it up. I love that you're pushing yourself. You're taking risks. Super cool. Do you have any thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, just one last thought in terms of editing. There's some lens flare, I think, or maybe some loose sparkles that are flying around in front of her, so you can see that here and here. I think it'll be just even adding to the image would be just to clone those out, just like that. And I think just because those can be very distracting, and I know with like a million light sources with the sparklers, it's kind of inevitable, but with a little cloning, it can be taken away.
Yeah, and I think maybe to Stephen's point, if there was maybe a clearer source of what was going on or like where they were coming from, then you would keep it. But because they kind of seem like these random artifacts, maybe it makes sense to remove them too. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving. Next image. We're still viewing all of their data, so hold on one second. all cameras, all lenses. All right, cool. We're back at it. All right, so this comes to us from my good buddy Thomas. I got a couple images in here from Thomas. So Thomas attended Abundance in February. And so I wanted to take a look at when he sent over some images that I thought were interesting. This first image here, let's take a look at the EXIF data. It's not there. So that leads me to believe that it was either stripped out to put on social or there was some heavy photoshopping done. Either way, let's just critique what we have available. We definitely can tell he was shooting at a high aperture. Probably f/16, something along those lines, because of the starbursting that's occurring with the sun. I think the edit, Thomas, is too strong, my man. And as soon as I see this image, I think it has the ability to be a really powerful shot. But all I can see is just how heavy you were with the post-processing. And so I think I would encourage you to pull back a little bit. I just think you got to be careful with the edits that you put together, that you still make an image that has a timeless quality, that I guess you're not distracting from what's going on. And so some of the things that are cueing me off to that would be the heavy vignette, right, where the sky is getting vignetted in a very, well, vignette-y way. As well, the saturation is kind of so vibrant in here. In addition, there's a clarity going on, and I can tell because there's like the clarity halo. Chad, what do you call the clarity halo? You know what I'm talking about, when you jack up the clarity and those points of contrast get like dark and then light and then dark again. Yeah, the structure starts to kind of break down in the hair. The blacks also are kind of unnaturally clipped. What I mean to say is I have no problem with an underexposed image that that's underexposed. But when you start to push the blacks down in a way that's intentionally clipping them, where maybe they weren't fully clipped, it can start to do this. I don't know what to call it. It's this weird look, I guess. Like a little bit of a fringing or something going on. So I would just be cautious, because I think it's a really strong image, man. I think there's potential for this image to be really strong and really powerful, but you just got carried away. Another thing is, I know you're shooting on a hill here, and so the couple is straight up and down. The horizon, though, is kind of bugging me that it wasn't. But again, they're on that line, and there's another plane, so I get that. I won't nitpick too much on that. I guess my last thought is, with our bursting here, I think we maybe should be cautious about the placement of a burst. It's like he's exploding from his pants with his twins. So I'm a huge fan of starburst. I love it. I love using it. Maybe a great place, actually, as I've experimented with it, that can be kind of nice, is up at the small of a woman's back. Not her butt, but the small of her back. Can be kind of nice if it's just a subtle burst that comes out, because it'll actually pull in the waist even more, and kind of just create a nice like hair light back here. And so maybe that could be a better place to do it. Stephen, what are your thoughts, my man?
First of all, bold move going with silhouette with a family, especially with two young kids. And the fact that you actually got the profile of the kids is incredible. And you can clearly see like what's actually happening here. It's not just one massive blob of a family. So props to that. I am still trying to think through what it means to do a silhouette with a family session. Like, I guess I'm not a family photographer, so I'm trying to comprehend like why the faces are missing. I know like not every shot is like that, but for this one, I feel like I want to see the kids. I want to see the faces. But I do love the interaction that like the mom and dad has with each of the kids there.
Yeah, man, that's a really good point. I'm incredibly impressed with the fact that you got silhouettes out of 4 people and 2 of them being little people. So that's really wild, man. Good job. Okay, I want to hop over to another one of yours, dude. So this is a shot that you put together, and I was excited about it. I have this sneaking suspicion. It's a sneaking suspicion. I'm not confirmed here that maybe you used the Style Story Creative paint kit for this. It's just a suspicion. I don't know. And the one thing that I have to say is I think it needs to be, the exposure needs to be brought up. You globally, I would say globally, the exposure does. Now I'm looking at a compressed 900 pixel JPEG now, and so obviously when I pull up the exposure, it's not going to do what it would do on your end. But I just think that the exposure needs to go up and maybe a little bit more warmth. But I mean, even from there to there, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's already better to go from here to here. Just need more information on the couple. In general, you guys, if you're using the Style Creative Paint Kits, these presets, these things like really freaking rock. I'm not going to lie. Like, I just really love what we do. If you watch yesterday's episode, I edit live with them all the time, and man, they blow me away. So anyhow, but usually you're going to need to give some bump to your exposure. And so, yeah, I think again, we're getting into this clipping of the black thing. And so maybe you were trying to hide this information down here. Maybe there was some clutter because it looks like there's a parking lot back there. And so you were trying to brush down the parking lot. And maybe, it looks like you're brushing on the parking lot, perhaps reflecting off of the hood of another car. I'm just trying to piece it together of what I think is going on. And so maybe, honestly, I would have forgone the reflection and gotten lower and shot up to remove the parking lot just entirely, focused in, maybe even compressed in on the Ferris wheel that you've dragged the shutter for, and the sky. That might be the right move. I do love though how you are shooting at a higher aperture, and so you're getting a brighter kind of color contrast and saturation. But again, just might be a little too much, tiniest bit. Just so you guys know, when you start shooting at higher apertures, you will get more vibrant colors, a little bit more contrast in that image, and so that's also apart from the editing that is going on here. There's a little bit of that factor, but yeah, I would tone down the clarity, tone down some of the sky. It's going past real for me, and I guess I'm getting distracted by that. Let's talk about the couple here for a moment. Let's talk about the lighting on them, because spot on, mate. I love that the light is coming over his shoulder. His face is in shadow. Light is hitting your gorgeous bride. Amen. So I'm. Oh, there is a backlight too. Look at you, dual wielding lights. You little OCF off camera flash. There it is. OCF badass. Yeah. So okay, cool. So they got a little backlight on them. I don't know if the backlight's doing much for me. I didn't even notice it. I guess maybe I'd have to see it before.
Separation from subject in this.
It does, yeah, it does create, and it helps create actually separation down here too for her. So yeah, kudos to that, man. I give you mad cred for actually getting two lights. The fact that you've got another flash over here hitting the bride's face over the groom's shoulder, and then another backlight. That's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, I guess I would just balance your ambient exposure a little bit better first. So yeah, those would be some of my thoughts. How about you, Steven? What you got?
I dig it. What you said, Ben.
Cool. Chad, you want to add anything?
I mean, that's great.
Cool.
Pull the shadows, I think you'd be spot on.
Yeah, I agree. I think even just to go in and, like Chad just said, pull the shadows up. I think I would rather actually see some information here than trying to hide it just a little bit. It's just a touch of information, because it just looks like you're trying to hide something. And people can tell. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you submitting, Thomas. Keep it up, dude. Keep sending us work. I want to see it. I want more people to see it too. Mike says lighting is great on the bride and groom. Hey, yeah, right, Mike? We totally agree, Mike. I agree. It's just like completely spot on. I'm really impressed with that. Yeah, nice work. All right, let's keep going. This image just comes to us from Krista Hargrove, and I chose this image because there was something that jumped out at me about it that I wanted to address. I actually didn't like, and I wanted to address. So for starters, we've got the bride, and the thing though that I can't, like my brain can't get around, and I wanted to kind of just show you guys this. Again, Krista, thank you. I want this to be productive for you. So as you hear me say this stuff, everybody, as you hear me say this stuff, just remember, I'm just one dude. I'm just a person. This is just an opinion, and my hope is that it will help to push you as a photographer. But again, it's just an opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. But I'm cautious about clarity removal to this degree on a global scale. And so what's happening is her face. You're doing clarity removal. You're doing skin retouching, and you're doing it. You've done some on her arm and her chest, but there's a lot more done on her face. And it starts to get she starts to look like a soap opera, right? And then maybe there's been some done that's been global as well. I'm just trying to look at some of the detail here. The other area that I want to be really cautious of as you guys are doing clarity removal, if you're going to do it, please, for God's sake, brush it on in kind of like a T pose. It's very similar to like makeup, right? Women, they do like a T here, here, here. Don't brush on clarity removal over details, okay? When you brush it over teeth and eyes, like to show you, like see what happens, like how her teeth start to, like her eyes, like there's this real weird flat China doll thing that happens. And it's starting to occur here. And I just want to caution you guys of that. So another thing, as we're looking at this image that I want to show you guys, and maybe this is me nitpicking, but I guess that's just getting better, right? It's like I'm nitpicking to get better, is this fringing. Okay, so this is called chromatic aberration. All right, and this is something that I always try to correct. What's happening here is that by the time the light is hitting the front element to the back, there's a subtle shift that's occurring in the light, and it's kind of creating another exposure, so to speak, in some of the shadows. From the highlight to the shadow, it happens at these points of really high contrast where you have a highlight and a bead going into a shadow. Sometimes we see a little bit in some eyes and on the hair. Again, here's the light and shadow, and so we're seeing some of this purple up here. And so there's a really easy way to fix this, you guys. If you go down into, let's see, I think detail or lens correction, you can just click remove chromatic aberration. Now that in itself is not enough, you guys. You got to go to manual and in defringe, bring up the purple a little bit, and you're going to see right there. Check out that, Nancy. So before, after, before her burl is purple, after it is not purple. Super cool. It's a little thing, but that's what getting better is. So keep an eye on that, especially in points of contrast, especially if you're using like these film emulating presets masked in. If you're using the Style Story Creative Paint Kit, pay attention to it. Certain presets are more susceptible to color fringing, chromatic aberration than others. So just check that out. Other than that, it's a like, I don't really know what else to say. It's an okay shot. It's safe. It's I don't know what this was shot with, probably 70-200 based off of the compression and the depth of field at 70 millimeters, in a super safe way. I think there's a more dynamic way that you could have posed her rather than having her hand up here, in kind of this linear way. I want to see more curves. Everything on her right now is flat. She's a gorgeous bride. She's slender. She's got a body under there somewhere, and I want to see those curves. I want to see her bend. I want to see her waist. I want to see her form. And so currently right now, her arm is flat. Her face is at you. Her body has a slight tilt. This arm is going straight up. There's too much like lineage, I guess. So think more about those curves. Maybe instead you could have turned her back to this pole and have her arch the small of her back and push her shoulder blades up against this pole right here and look over her right shoulder down her body and see her hair cascade down and eyes low and dripping with amazingness. That just gets me going talking about it. But again, Krista, I wasn't there, so maybe there's limitations that you had that I don't see. Other than that, she might be a little purple, so let's give her some green. All right. Anybody else got any thoughts on this, Steven, Chad? They can hear you. You got to talk in the mic, bro.
My bad. Yeah, really just what he said. My first thought when he first pulled it up was she just looks really smooth. If you just turn her just a slight bit and move her arm away from her body a little bit, like he said, so you can see that back curve, she instantly becomes more three-dimensional. So, but yeah, other than that, coloration, everything looks good. It's just she looks really smooth.
Yeah. Right
Which, she wants to look ageless, but she doesn't want to look fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just combining the posing and the editing, she just looks completely flat. Even if there's a bit more curves to her, you'll see more shadows forming. Like you see some shadows here, and it's like really interesting. But when you get to the face, it's just a pancake.
Pancakes for dinner. Natalie Lowe's watching. Your wife is watching, bro.
Yay.
How about that? Okay, cool. Let's go on to one more picture for today. This image is coming to us from Abby Paul. Abby, thank you so much for submitting. If you're wondering why Abby keeps showing up, it's because she keeps submitting a ton of work to us, so that's rad. Abby's going to be at Abundance in December. Super excited about that. Abby, I get excited when I see your work come through. There's a consistency with it that you know what you're doing. I dig it. I like this picture because there's a mood here. I think there's a certain engagement that's going on, and it's very, very subtle, but it's, again, you guys, it's the subtleties that make the difference, and the subtleties is often in hands. Can I tell you guys something? So I can tell a difference between a good photographer and a great photographer based off of what the subject's hands are doing. People, we get so distracted and so scared about everything else that we ignore hands. And I love his hand right here. I love there's a gesture in it. You can see him gripping her waist. I love her hand, the way that she's holding onto this curtain. Pay attention to hands, you guys. I think there's something really powerful to be said here. Abby, I think that the shadows could come up a little bit, especially, even if you're to do some brushwork here, just to draw our eye more onto the couple. Again, you guys, so we're clear, I am kind of editing on top of a JPEG that's been downsized even further, but I bet you in the raw, you'd be able to pull up some more information here just to bring our eyes in on the expression here. And they've got a great expression, a great interaction. I think color-wise, you could easily say this image is too warm. But this is a time to break rules. This is a time that, like, this warmth, the incandescent light is really actually doing something beautifully for the mood. I love the way that the light is shaping her shoulder here, coming across her breast, drawing attention here to the small of her back. It really is shaping her really nicely. Her hair, everything about it. So good job. There were some happy accidents that occurred that I'm pretty sure you didn't mean to have happen. One of them is this little line right here is really nice because it's defining him. He doesn't just become a blob. And so as you're doing this pseudo silhouette, the fact that you got that in there, maybe you were aware of it. But if you're not, you will be next time. Always be looking for those. So kudos to that. From a framing standpoint, I love the way that these curtains are framing them, but they're not centered perfectly. There's kind of off to the right hair. Yeah, I'm digging it. Yeah, I'm really digging it. I think if you wanted to like perfect it, if you want to make this like portfolio, you either remove these things or you add them in to create that a more consistent look. So maybe these things could come out and it'll help remove some of the distraction that's occurring with those spots that are there. I'm going to open this up to Chad and Steven here, see if they have any thoughts for you. But I'm digging what you put together here. By the way, 85 millimeter, 1.8, 1/50th of a second. Holy hell, girl! Turn your ISO up. Turn real quick though. Real quick. Turn your ISO up next time. And go to 1/100th of a second. I think because right now there is a little blur there. Again, you guys, blur's okay. Technically perfect shots aren't necessarily better. But I think, you might as well aim for not a blurry image. So go 1/100th, 3200 ISO, and that'll get your stop of light back. And I think a safer way. Yeah, Chad, Steven, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, so one of the things that drives me nuts visually is like if something's supposed to be center composed, that it is strictly center composed. So if something more cropped, sorry, he's got to lock his crop. It's something more like that, where they're like dead center, and you have an equal amount of the red on each side. But one thing I like about this image is this red on the left seems to draw my eye more towards it. So if your main focus is of them in that interaction, is I would probably even draw this in tighter like that with that red pop on the left hand side. So it's got a little bit more of that pull to the left, and it leads in towards the right. And I know it cuts off a little bit of his head and stuff like that, but stylistically I don't think you lose anything, but you do have enough to pull up to like that if you wanted to. Just visually makes me want to look at them more and balances that light out a little bit. So that was the only thing other than what Ben said on top of that.
Cool. Any other thoughts, Steven?
Yeah, just one more.
Reset.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I got you.
Cool. Just kind of going along with the gaps. This back gap on the groom here is spot on, and even this one right here, where the light hits his stomach region, it just creates this almost another gap. I actually don't think it is, but it really helps define like who they are. But imagine that being black, and it just kind of just turns into a blob again. I love the interaction that they have. Again, the light is so soft and shaping them perfectly. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, man. You guys, thank you so much for submitting. Here's the deal. The link is down below in episode, the previous 145. Keep submitting for next week. We want to hear from you guys. That'd be rad. Tomorrow we're coming to you live once again. Today, by the way, we had like 3 podcast interviews, presentation meeting for images. So we obviously did not go on at one. But we're doing what we can. So we'll do our best to come on time tomorrow. And then as well, you guys, Q&A Friday is happening Friday. Get your questions ready because we got some answers for you guys. Thank you so much. Follow us on Instagram for more stories, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.